know, today is the right day to be using the Gojira intro music. It really is. Hey everyone, I'm Kip Davis. I'm a biblical scholar and a specialist in early Judaism and the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's Friday the 19th of June today, and it's no, it's not. It's like 2:06 in the afternoon here on the West Coast. And yeah, I'm several minutes late, and you know what? I don't feel bad about that. Like, not at all today. I am just it's just today is too good a day to feel any kind of remorse or guilt about being a few minutes late. So yeah, welcome to my show. I am joined by my my good friend and my co-host as always, Vishanti. How you doing, Vish? Good to see you. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But thanks for being here, because
I don't know if I have
we're
an audio
buddies.
clip in here that would accurately reflect.
Accurately convey.
No, wait, I think maybe I do.
Oh,
it's right here.
okay.
Oh, when life gives you lemons.
Yeah. Well, I would like to think that I will help things to be better for you, but we're unfortunately continuing in
making me watch Mike Jones. Rub salt in the wound.
Listen, the good news is we're not just watching Mike Jones. We're watching Mike Jones say stupid shit so that we can actually look at real scholars and what they're actually saying, and also some other videos today too. So I think good videos, I promise. Mike Jones's video is bad, but I think we can do something to help cleanse that palate. Yeah, that's what's happening today. Treat Clam Tad for $2 says that he is uninspired.
Yeah.
As you should be, by Michael Jones. But I am ever hopeful that that there are things we can do to inspire even you, Tad. It is it's a titanic chore, but I feel like I'm up to it. I really do today. So there's some people here though, which is nice. It's good to see. Kyle was on time today, and that's unfortunate because I wasn't. Yeah, as Tad notes, Gator Gaming is here, as is Hayden Tank. It's good to see you. From the Bible Lore podcast. Everybody should go and subscribe. It's really good. I've been on it a couple times. I hope to get an invitation to come back someday. Ed the Rabbit Atheist is here. Very accurate thumbnail when it comes to Mike Jones. Man seems to think if he speaks on a subject long enough in a certain way, it becomes true. That's one way to look at it. Yeah. Budding Hebraeus Noise Ending is here. Good to see you. Amber Lynn,
David
Mother
Lynch.
of Dragons. Oh, is this what this is?
Yeah.
Keep your eye on the donut, not on the hole. Nice. Well, we could all use a little bit more David Lynch in our lives, I feel.
Yeah. I really miss having that dude around, especially like his daily weather reports were really like the highlight of my pandemic. So it's really sad. Like when Angelo Badalamenti passed, he stopped doing those, and it sucks.
Yeah.
You know, it was nice having a weather report and a song of the day from David Lynch, and his usual excitement over Fridays where he would just get completely unhinged about it being Friday. So I feel like maybe he just kind of disappeared or evaporated into the ether of the city here and just kind of absorbed his self into the wacky, lovely, delusional, crazy place that this is.
Yeah. Well, rest in peace, David Lynch. Amberlin, Mother of Dragons, is here. Alira, it's good to see you. Especially since I know how late it is. Thank you very much for coming out. God of Thee is there. Plated Lizard is here. Oh, look, Tacos from Mega Bloodbath Debates is here, guys. Go subscribe to Breakfast Tacos, because he does some good stuff over there in the debate bro space. So if you're into that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Good to see Ann Stevens and Triceratops and Hypatia, Martin Elzen. I'm not sure if I recognize Martin. Good to see you. Mid Bomber Rail is another one I don't recognize off the hop. Maya's here. The good news is that we're watching Mike Jones say stupid shit. Yeah, Kip, it's literally all he does. Fair, Maya. That's totally fair. Another $5 from Tree Clam Tat. Thank you so much. When in the course of watching Michael Jones are we not watching Michael Jones say stupid shit? The time he did a Pro Evolution stream with Dapper, it might be the only time.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, that's fair. So Irish Swede, good to see you. Kyle Allender's civilian name. Nice. What if someone denies historical critical methods as epistemically unjustified? How do you justify them without assuming they're true? As epistemically, yeah. I mean, look, there's always assumptions that we have to make with respect to the historical critical method. But here's the thing: the assumptions that scholars make with respect to the critical historical method are the same methodological assumptions that we make in every fucking part of our lives, just to function, just to learn things about virtually anything. And that's it, right? That's what critical scholarship is, and that's why I get frustrated when people want so badly to deny the results. Chrissy's here. This is exciting.
I feel like the word true or truth is doing a lot of load bearing in that particular comment. I find that that's not a useful term for what a lot of critical scholars are doing. Like this idea of truth, with a big T is like I said, that's carrying a lot of weight. So I probably wouldn't use that, but yeah.
I wanted to Lil of all trades is here, and treats for Dagon. Hey buddy, you coming?
Doggy.
So yeah, there you are. Oh, there you go.
Nom nom nom
Yum 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 yum. Oh, treats. She said treats, not treat. Okay.
There you go.
So Lil is waiting is at the airport waiting for Seth Henderson, the ambushed apostate, because they met and have kindled a loving relationship through YouTube.
That sounds familiar.
This shit happens, guys.
That reminds me of somebody.
Well, yeah, these are things that happen to some people, and it's wonderful when they do. So
look, I love
congratulations,
watching new
you
friendships
guys.
form, and I love watching people fall in love. It's cute.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So congratulations, you two. I'm very excited for both of you. So I think we're going to dive in here. Before we do though, I just have to point out, I just have to say, had a great week this last week. And one of the reasons I had a great week this last week is because I received a gift from a very, very dear friend of mine. And it looks like this.
Oh, yes.
So thank you, Vish,
Yeah.
for sending me my very own
Stanley Cup.
my very own Stanley Cup. So today I've got a
Mhm.
I've got a tug of war New
There you go.
Zealand IPA
Yeah.
here that I'm going to
Nice.
enjoy for the stream. This is a 6.5% ABV, 45 IBU from Yellow Dog Brewing Company. This is from my Box of Tricks sampler,
Nice.
which is pretty great. They're all named after dog shit, right? Not dog shit, but like, you know, dog stuff. It's fun. I like it. So, oh shit, now I've got sorry. Yeah, that's bad. I've got beer on my keyboard. Just give me a second here.
Yeah, I'm glad that at least got to you. I was very paranoid after the last time I tried to like send something in the mail. It just never arrived. So I was
Damn it,
really
right?
glad that this one actually,
Yeah.
got there eventually. So
thank you so much, Fish. Holy shit. It's not
this is gonna be so cool.
It's not the easiest thing to pour. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, the
looking pretty heady. The opening at the top is really small. So
yeah, it's not
you know what,
the most practical design, but
it's big though. That's the good thing is it's big. So
probably get 2 of those in there.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, I totally could.
Stuff.
So this is my 473 milliliter can. Fits in there. So cheers, everyone. Cheers to the Stanley Cup champions, the Carolina Hurricanes. Congratulations on cup number 2.
Right on.
Good stuff. All right.
Yeah.
You want to bring up the video before we get into it? I'll just remind everybody where we left off last time. Talking about this stuff with, you know, I gotta wipe up some more of this beer here. Talking about what was going on with Mike Jones and his bullshit. He went through all the supposed evidence for the Exodus and then started in on all the supposed evidence for the conquest of Canaan, and we talked, you know, we talked a little bit about migrations, and we talked a little bit about the city of Jericho. Talked quite a bit actually about the city of Jericho. We talked about the Ark of the Covenant, and we finished up talking about the city of Ai. And today we're going to continue with another famous city from the region, Chatzor, which was the largest city in the entire region of Canaan. A huge city, and an important city that's been extensively excavated. So we're going to talk about that before we get into that. Oh yes, and then we're going to spend a lot of time saying, oh my god, thank you so much, Alira, for the generous gift of 10 Kip Davis memberships.
So now that y'all have the memberships, you can use the Mud Kip Davis emoji.
And the Diablo Critic emoji. And the Apologia Kip emoji. There are 3. So Tree Clam Tad will be joining me in a bit. I hope Tree Clam Tad that you will be able to put your beer in your Stanley Cup mug. My hope is actually that you are an active member of the Carolina Hurricanes and are going to be drinking your beer from the actual Stanley Cup as you watch my stream. So don't let me down. These are now my expectations. So
I should make you some channel emojis because I know you have like a certain amount of slots. You know, per.
There are so many things that I need to do that I just have not got around to doing yet, and it's because I'm well, maybe kind of lazy about a bunch of things, and also I'm just right now I'm trying to move house and sort of get started on a new chapter in my life, and it's a lot. So, but I very much appreciate everyone's patience with me. I mean, these memberships are extremely. I mean, they mean just that much more to me, just because people do this because they believe in the work that we're doing, Vish. They believe in the channel. It's not because they're getting much of anything beyond what we're doing here on these streams, and thank you very much for another generous donation, Grievous, something like Grievous. That works. Can't wait for more of archaeology. Never search for biblical things. Takes. Oh yeah, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that one. We're just about right off the hop here. Before we bring up the video, though, there were a couple things I wanted to just sort of set the stage with. Do you want to read this one, Vish, while I pull this up?
Tree Clam Tad 42 says sedentary clams are famous for our hockey skills. And then Bernard writes to all Canadians on the channel, well done, Canada's football team. Congrats. I don't really keep up with sports much, but I did find it very wholesome. The Mexico-South Korea dynamic that's going on. It's been kind of a bromance for the last few years.
Really?
So apparently at a previous World Cup, I think around 2018, South Korea knocked Germany out of the running and it allowed Mexico to proceed to the next round. And Mexico people showed up at like the South Korean embassy and were saying like chants, like, hey, Koreans, you're our brothers, you're already Mexican. And they were just really excited about it. And ever since then, it's been this really wholesome kind of like friendship between the two fan groups. And they played yesterday and it felt kind of like interesting to have a vibe where it was like, we just want everyone to have fun. Like, yeah, they wanted to win, but it was like everybody partying together, and especially here in LA, and it's a big Mexico like town, but people even in K-Town watching the game were having a blast, and people just getting along. And I feel like that kind of camaraderie is probably what is intended to be happening with the World Cup. So yeah, it's so very wholesome if you see the videos and stuff online.
Yeah, that sounds cute.
Yeah.
So something's come up here, and I think I'm going to start a poll because Alira has asked the question here. Wonder if I can.
I would vote yes, as long as it's not generated with AI. Like if you do actual art, I would absolutely vote for that.
So so I'm going to stick. Let's see here. It's would you like a Dr. Kill playing the guitar emoji? Would I've seen the actual sketches of it. So I know for a fact it's not AI generated.
Man, I really want to get one of the Mexico jerseys. They just look really, really cool. I know that there's like a whole discussion about the way that Mexica culture prioritizes, over other indigenous people groups in Mexico, but using the tonali pattern, the Mexica calendar and iconography is always really cool design. So
nice. Why can't I? Why won't it let me start a poll?
Thank you, Susan. People outside LA may not know what K-Town means. Koreatown, it's, there's usually little ethnic enclaves in large cities. So yeah, K-Town would be Koreatown.
Cool. All right.
You're in trouble.
Me?
Josh says that I love how Kip is pretending not to see my messages. But you can also blame me because I too wasn't looking at the chat for your last one.
God, Josh, nobody cares.
His comment
So,
apparently was,
okay.
I very much appreciate everyone's patience with me. Congratulations, Kip. We found the name of your Schmeck's tape.
Thanks, Josh. You're such a good friend. I probably don't say it enough. All right. There's a poll, everyone. Please feel free to vote as we start here. We're already 20 minutes in, so we need to get going. But let's. I want to. There's a couple things I wanted to read, and this first one is from Israel Finkelstein, just kind of setting this up where we're at here with respect to the historical so-called conquest of Canaan, the historical situation of Canaan at the end of the Bronze Age and the beginning of the Iron Age. And then I've got another thing to read from Amahai Mazar. So here we go. Let's just make sure I got this right. Okay. A significant body of data in animal husbandry in the Bronze and Iron Ages has accumulated in recent years. Especially important for the study of ethnicity in the Iron Age are the data on the ratio of pig bones in the faunal assemblages at various sites. Brian Hess and Paula Wapnish have shown that in Philistine sites, the ratio is far larger than the average, the normal for the Bronze Age. The popularity of pork consumption in the Iron Age 1 in the southern coastal plain may be related to husbandry practices brought from the Philistine homeland. In the highlands, pig husbandry was practiced in the Bronze Age and other periods, but pig bones appear from the faunal assemblage. They disappear from the faunal assemblages starting in the Iron Age 1. The most interesting fact is that contemporaneous pig bones continue to be present in significant numbers at Heshbon on the border between Ammon and Moab in the Transjordan. The faunal assemblages of the Iron II reflect the same traits. Regardless of the complex factors that may influence pig distribution, this seems to mean that the taboo on pigs was already practiced in the hill country in Iron Age 1. Pigs were not present in the Proto-Israelite Iron 1 sites in the highlands, while they were quite popular in a Proto-Ammonite site and numerous Philistine sites. I actually don't think this is what I wanted to start reading. I think I wanted to start reading cyclically, but it's important. Pig bones are absent from faunal assemblages in the highlands. It's one of the key identifiers of so-called Israelite culture in this period. There are a variety of possible explanations for this. We don't necessarily need to think that this is the result of some legislation in the book of Leviticus. That I think that's the important point. And we'll talk a little bit about that more today. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the cyclic processes in the highlands and the origin of early Israel. Finkelstein says here, it has become conventional wisdom to view complex historical processes from a long-term perspective. La longue durée of the French Annals School. Indeed, the investigation of the processes that took place in the Iron Age 1 requires that we consider a much broader historical perspective from the first wave of the settlement in the highlands in the beginning of the early Bronze Age. That is, the second half of the 4th millennium BCE, to the outcome of the Iron 1 transformation, the rise of the territorial states in the early 1st millennium BCE. Importantly, people will recall from last time something that I mentioned, something that the archaeologists continue to point to, is that it's not just Israel that is emerging from the Canaanite cultural milieu at the end of the Bronze Age and the beginning of the Iron Age. It is also Edom. It is also Moab. It is also Ammon. It is also Aram. It is the fact that groups of people, not just Israelites, are starting to organize themselves together into these small kingdoms. That's a crucially important point, one that continues to be ignored by people like Mike Jones and the scholars he wants to depend on. The large-scale surveys in the southern Levant were undertaken in the 1980s, and these indicate that in the time frame specified above, the highlands were characterized by 3 waves of settlement with 2 intervals of social crisis between them. Settlement activity intensified from one peak period to the next. All 3 led to the rise of complex territorial formations, but while the first 2 degenerated, the third peak period resulted in the development of full-scale statehood. The kingdoms of Israel and Judah, 3 peak periods, as well as 2 periods of crisis, had much in common, especially in their demographic pattern, but also in the location of the sites and in certain aspects of material culture. So I won't go on to read his summary of the 3 periods, but I just want to point this out, that what's happening in Canaan in the late Bronze Age, early Iron Age is something that has happened other times in the past in Canaan, with just one crucial difference, and importantly, featuring numbers of the same sites, the same actual locales within the region of Canaan. The only significant difference with the third wave is that it resulted instead in the establishment of these small kingdoms, as opposed to a period of destruction and decline. So it's kind of important, especially with respect to how we choose to evaluate what's going on in the entire region. I'm skipping right ahead here to Israel Finkelstein's summary. The settlement processes that took place in the highlands of Canaan in the Iron One had much in common with the 2 preceding waves of occupation in these areas, as mentioned. These analogies reinforce the hypothesis that much from the Iron One settlement activity was part of a long-term cyclic mechanism of alternating processes of sedentarization and nomadization of indigenous groups in response to changing political, economic, and social circumstances. Translating these words into simple language, one can say that the early Israelites were, in fact, Canaanites. The outcome of the Iron One settlement activity, the emergence of the Israelite and Judahite territorial states, resembles in some features the formation in the hill country of large territorial polities during the Middle and Late Bronze Ages, and possibly the Early Bronze Age. But the rise of the northern kingdom of Israel, which managed to expand from the highlands to the lowlands and form a true territorial state, marks a new phenomenon, a revolution in the social history of Canaan hyphen Israel. Actually, that's a dash. In other words, no, that's a hyphen. Sorry. In other words, the genuinely exceptional event in the highlands of Palestine was not the Israelite settlement of the biblical traditions, but the historical emergence of the Israelite state around 900 BCE in the northern highlands. The literary depiction of the rise of early Israel as a singular event in the annals of the region appeared only centuries after the Iron One. It was shaped by the history of the Judahite state in the late Iron II period. The biblical description of the rise of early Israel was cast by the Deuteronomistic historian in such a way as to serve the southern Judahite-centered ideology and historical national aspirations, and to convey its theological message. The narrative has prevailed until recently, when archaeology came to the center stage of historical research on Canaan hyphen Israel. So that's Israel Finkelstein. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. We're gonna look now at just a couple of thoughts from Amahai Mazar. Let me get this. Yeah, here we go. Talking about the conquest tradition. The conquest narrative in the book of Joshua and other conquest stories in the book of Numbers and Judges have long attracted archaeologists. Destroyed cities are sometimes something that archaeologists should be able to discover. And if indeed Israel destroyed many Canaanite cities, as described in various conquest narratives in particular, but not only in the book of Joshua, then archaeologists should be able to uncover these ruined cities. In the early years of biblical archaeology, historians and archaeologists tended to accept the conquest narrative at face value. Archaeologists like John Garstang, we've heard talk about him already in Michael Jones's video. William F. Albright, Yigal Yadin, and others presented the Israelite conquest of the country as a short-lived event that could be identified archaeologically. Yadin was perhaps the last to present Joshua as a real military hero who conquered city after city in Canaan in line with the biblical narrative. Since the 1960s, however, it has become obvious that this was not the historical reality. Archaeological investigations have shown that many of the sites mentioned in these conquest stories turned out to be uninhabited during the assumed time of the conquest around 1200 BCE. This is the case for Arad.
Read that sentence again.
Archaeological investigations have shown that many of the sites mentioned in these conquest stories turned out to be uninhabited. During the assumed time of the conquest, around 1200 BCE. That should sink in. So, I'm just trying to silence my phone here. I didn't do that last time.
This is the case with Arad, Heshbon, Ai, and Yarmouth. I love it when they're like, yeah, here's the cities. They were uninhabited at the time that conquest would have happened. At other sites, there was only a small and unimportant settlement at the time, as at Jericho and perhaps Hebron.
This is to say nothing, by the way, for we talked a little bit about this in our first response when we were talking about the Exodus. This is to say nothing for what's happening in the Transjordan. Okay, on the other side of the Jordan, you will recall an integral part of this story is the wanderings through the wilderness, the Sinai wilderness, and then up into the Transjordan, where the Israelites encountered two important kings from two important cities. The King Og of Sihon. And
Sihon.
King Og and Sihon, I think, right? Of Bashan and Heshbon. Yes.
Yeah.
So, importantly, there's just no trace at all of any habitation at these sites until well into the Iron Age. They were uninhabited. The same stands for Michael Jones made a big show about how you can't find any evidence of encampments in the Sinai. What he's ignoring or just completely ignorant of is the fact that the Israelites stationed themselves at Kiryat Jearim, right? This site in the area, and they would stage there and conduct campaigns from there into the Transjordan, and there's nothing there. There is nothing there from the end of the Bronze Age and the early Iron Age. Those are catastrophic omissions for any sort of case of an exodus or a conquest. If you don't have those, what are we even talking about here? I'm going to continue. Others, like Lachish, Chatzor, were indeed important Canaanite cities. We're going to talk a little bit more about Chatzor today. Yet they were not destroyed as part of the same military undertaking, since approximately 100 years separate the destruction of Chatzor in the mid-13th century BCE from that of Lachish in the mid-12th century. At other sites, the archaeological evidence is even more meager. It is thus now accepted by all that archaeology, in fact, contradicts the biblical account of the Israelite conquest as a discrete historical event led by one leader. Most scholars of the last generation regard the conquest narratives as a literary work of a much later time designed to create a pan-Israelite national saga. Nonetheless, even this latter view does not exclude the possibility that certain conquest stories echo isolated individual historical events that may have occurred during the late second millennium BCE, though perhaps not specifically in relation to Israel as a nation or to Joshua as a military leader. Other stories seem to be ideologies rooted in situations relating to the period of settlement. I think I've got one more thing here to read from Mazar. Yeah, let me just jump ahead to page 64. Here we go. Let's look at his concluding thoughts here. Oh, here we go. We may conclude that in some cases there is an outright conflict between the archaeological findings and the biblical narratives, while in others, the archaeological data do not contradict the conquest stories. Guess which ones Michael wants to draw your attention to?
The second half of that sentence.
Guess which ones I'm ignoring?
Yeah.
This is all fine. I'm dealing with the accumulation of all the data because that's what scholars do. We talk about places like Hatzor. We talk about places like Jericho. We talk about places like Bethel, which appear to provide a veneer of correspondence to what's occurring in the biblical narrative. We talk about these places because you can't avoid them. They're there in the record. Can you account for them? Can you account for them in the company of the accumulation of all the data? Your models have to account for all the data. And what's more, and I'm going to draw attention back to this again today at a few points, a simple model is not the best model when it comes to history. Do you know why? Because history is a fucking mess. Nothing is neat and tidy when it comes to history. There are dozens of independent threads that contribute to the outcome of events. And that's why a single conquest story can never fit what we have represented in the archaeological record, what we have represented in the textual record, what we have represented in the third-party sources for the region. Because this shit is complex. This shit takes into consideration like numerous factors and features, ebbs and flows of history. This is what the longue durée is. The long progression, the long march of history is the recognition that you're not just dealing with a people group exerting their will on a region. There's economics involved. There's climate involved. There's regimes involved. There's social shifts involved. There's any number of things that occur which affect what's happening in any place at any time. A simple explanation will never work in history. That's part of why history is so hard. And that's part of why Mike Jones is never going to get this, because he is not adequately trained to do so. But that's probably enough of this. We can bring up the video.
Just a few comments.
How do you account for the tiny little civilization known as Amarna period Egypt? I don't understand the question, honestly.
I think they're joking around. They're trying to make a data.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it.
That's
yeah,
why I took it. Yeah.
Got it.
Lieutenant Meth Navigator for 10. Maybe Joshua was another name for Judas Maccabeus. This is just as reasonable an explanation as Mike Jones's usual apologetics and only requires a minor bit of time travel.
Not something that I subscribe to, but I agree, Lieutenant Meth the Navigator, that this is absolutely no more ridiculous. This is actually probably a little bit more sensible than woodenly, irrationally holding on to this conquest model that just cannot account for everything that's going on in the region at the time of the end of the Bronze Age and the beginning of the Iron Age.
I mean, as we all know from spirit science, who's very reliable on history and very accurate, reliable, that Jews are capable of time travel and were from the future on Mars. So, yeah. Tree Clam Tad for 5. I don't really think that Shaka was there when the walls fell.
Tigrid. What's the first guy? And Jalar when the wall. Is it Tigrid?
Tanak and Jalad at Tanagra.
Tanak and Jalad at Tanagra when the walls fell. Thank you.
Or Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra or something. God, it's been forever since I watched that. Sorry, yeah.
That's a great episode. Jesus.
That is a good episode. It's very weird.
Why bother?
Lieutenant Meth Navigator. Yeah. Why bother with data? You just say shit. So, Darmok and Jalad. Thank you. Yeah.
Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. Thanks, guys.
Spirit Science. You guys watch Sursic? I do. Not as much as I used to, but I really enjoyed Martimer's series on him quite a bit, even though it was painful. He has a really good series on spirit science. So,
I will say that I haven't watched Sursic for a long time, and I had no idea that he covered spirit science. But you know who does?
He does occasionally.
Yeah, I had no idea. But you know who does cover spirit science on a semi-regular basis? They just did an episode a few weeks ago. Is our friends over at Bad Science Sunday. Every Sunday night at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. Maya Adkisson and my co-host, who's also her co-host, Dr. Tapioca Weasel, very often will encounter material from Jordan over at Spirit Science, and it's always just a very, very good time. So check it out, everyone.
It wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't like cultural supersessionism and hyperdiffusionism and the fact that he's an admitted rapist. So,
Jesus Christ, I had no idea.
Admitted his own admission. So,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
To listen to the way that he explains and defends himself on that is just vile and disgusting. So, yeah, Jordan needs to fuck off into the sea.
That is fun. All right. Okay. So, shall we? I'm gonna pull up my next bookmark here, and what's up?
I didn't realize if you were gonna read another quote real quick.
No, I'm not. No, I'm just pulling up, so I'm ready. And then we'll dive into the video finally, guys. After 45 minutes, I feel like honestly at this point, and I consider everything I just read, and now, let's listen to what Michael Jones has to say.
Okay. Oh wait, I almost forgot. I need to adjust it.
So here, I think he's All right. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. All right.
City.
He's just finishing
This is
up
just a
his
smaller
talk
sort of
about
outpost used for
I.
defense,
Yeah.
warning. And so that is what I simply was. Kenneth Kitchen reminds us something about the biblical account. He says, it still needs to be remembered also that the entire area of Et-Tel has not been dug. Fully eroded parts, of course, can never tell us anything. The Hebrews may well have taken Bethel after I, but the narrative is focused on I. So again, the point of the narrative is just to focus on I, this smaller area. Then he makes...
Do you want to read the whole quote?
This one that he has here. It still needs to be remembered also that the entire area at Et-Tel has not been dug. Fully eroded parts, of course, can never tell us anything new. I think it's supposed to be new. Anything now. The Hebrews may well have taken Bethel after I, but the narrative, in the narrative, it is I that mattered because it had been the scene of an embarrassing reverse. Yeah. Do you have something to say about that?
I just think it's funny because all the other sources that you were reading were like, yeah, I was largely uninhabited, and it was one of the quotes was like that it was unimportant and small. And here he's like, no, it was major and big. No.
Right.
The opposite.
Yeah. It's like, and the other part here too is it's a fucking ruin. That's what it's called. It's called the ruin.
It's called ruin. Yeah.
It's what it means. It just this is just one of the stupidest responses, I think, to the archaeological data, because if there was anything that was this on the nose about the story of the conquest being a late fiction, it's the fact that I is called the ruin. And it's been wrecked for like centuries. It's like, come on, guys. Come on.
But also the times that it uses the wreck, the ruin.
Every time.
Come on,
every time.
Okay. No.
Still be upset, but let's talk about a couple other things. So first off, I want to point out that in Israel, 7,000 sites have been found, but only 4,200 have been surveyed. Only 150 have been partially excavated, and only 26 sites have become major sites. And only a fraction of what has been excavated has even been published. In other words, we've got to drop this myth that we've combed Sinai, we've combed Israel, and we have found no evidence of anything there. Well, that's just simply not true. We haven't looked at as much as people like to think we have.
We'll find it any day now.
Would you like to hear from an expert on this, Vish?
Yes, I would.
All right.
Yes.
Let's pull this off. let's look at this from Israel Finkelstein. In what follows, I wish to present a model for understanding the emergence of early Israel that is based on 2 decades of intensive fieldwork in the highlands, excavations and surveys alike. Both branches of modern archaeological field research were employed in the study of the emergence of Israel. For the first time, meticulous excavations were carried out not only in the large mounds of the lowlands, but also in the rural highland sites. They shed light on the material culture and economic strategies of the Iron One people. But the great leap forward in the study of the emergence of early Israel was the turn in the 1980s to comprehensive surveys in the highlands. This made possible an almost complete reconstruction of the settlement patterns in antiquity. Most of the central hill country of Cisjordan was fully combed. Most of the central hill country of Cisjordan was fully combed in the course of regional surveys. Do I need to say it again? Fully combed intensive surveys have also been undertaken on the Transjordanian Plateau. These surveys provide us with invaluable information on the number of sites, their size, the number of their inhabitants, and their location, including the economic factors that dictated their distribution.
I have a sound for this. Brace yourselves, audience, if you have earbuds in. Da-da-da. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow, fully
All
combed. Huh?
right. Fully combed.
All right.
We looked a lot, but not as much as we should. But even with that, there is some interesting evidence that there were occupants at I around 1200. So it seems as though so Joseph Calloway notes that we have this destruction in the really early Bronze Age, and it becomes this ruin, but then people are occupying it around 1220, around the time of the Exodus. So again, we don't have evidence that's not inconsistent with the biblical data here.
What was the earlier source that you read specifically that mentioned the period of the 1200s BCE? Can you pull that back up? Because I really feel like we should juxtapose these.
All right. Just give me a second here. So the source that mentioned the 1200s BCE, was that Mazar? That was probably Mazar, right?
I think it was Mazar.
So was that let's see. Was that it was probably Mazar's conclude. Oh, here we go. Since the 1960s, it has become obvious that this was not the historical reality. Archaeological investigations have shown that many of the sites mentioned in these conquest stories turned out to be uninhabited during the assumed time of the conquest around 1200 BCE. Is this one you were thinking of?
This is the case with Arad, Heshbon, Ai, and Yarmouth.
Yes.
So let me just pull that back up because I rewound. Let's go to the tape.
Okay.
So again, we don't have evidence that's not inconsistent with the biblical data here.
Sorry.
But you kind of do. You kind of
And it becomes this ruin, but then people are occupying it around 1220, around the time of the Exodus.
Just completely contradicted. completely
contradicts it. Yes. It's wild. Yeah, I mean, there's so many Trojan sources in this video, and so much like just outright inaccurate, dishonest bullshit. It's hard. And I mean, it's sad, right? That he can promote this stuff. He can spout this stuff. He's got, there's probably hundreds of people in the audience here. And they're just all, I mean, what do they know? How do they know to fact check Mike on all this stuff? Where do they even go? With the information that they have at hand. This is what's so frustrating about when people lie about what scholars are doing, about what scholars say, because it's like doing this stuff is not straightforward and easy. It takes years of training just to figure out how to navigate the secondary literature. Like it's not just anybody can sit down and figure out where to go even to get the information that they need. So yeah.
There we go. Not to nitpick, but I prefer consistent with over not inconsistent with when it comes to evidence. Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing, Mike is trying to say, oh, maybe we don't have great evidence, but we don't have anything that directly contradicts it. And we're totally going to find the excavation layer, guys. We're going to find it any day now.
Eventually. Well, we just keep digging, right? Just keep digging.
It's cope. It's cope.
Yeah. And eventually, when you dig down far enough, you just have to do like what Homer suggests and dig up, stupid. So
dig up. Yeah.
So again, we don't have evidence that's not inconsistent with the biblical data here. Now, after it says they built an altar on Mount Ebal. And for years, scholars assured us there was no evidence of Joshua's altar. Until somebody decided to go look. And he found an altar. Right where it should be, right there on Mount Ebal, right there. And then immediately the
right where it should be.
You found an altar. One, is it from the time period? Two, is it from that culture? Three,
yes.
Does that mean Joshua built it? No.
Something he said though. Can you just back it up like 10 seconds? Because I want to hear him repeat it. But that's all very good, important information. Yes, you're right, Vish.
Until somebody decided to go look, and he found an altar. Right where it should be, right there on Mount Ebal, right there.
Right where it
right
should be.
where it should be. Right where it should be. Right there is what Michael says. Keep that in mind, everyone. Oh, stop it, Simone. You're wrecking my
spoiler alert.
Stop it with the spoilers. Okay? Drop that, please, Vish.
Right where it should be.
You're not cooperating, Simone. So yeah, let's finish. Let's let him hear. Okay. Let's hear what he has to say about Mount Ebal, and then we'll play a couple of other videos too, okay. which is fun.
And then immediately the historians were like, well, that had to be some sort of like tower or outpost or something, right? Well, the archaeologists who went there said, beyond question, our site is a cultic center. The more than 50 installations containing either animal bones or ashes or pottery vessels seem irrefutable evidence of the cultic nature of the site. And today, now, after a couple of decades of debating about this, Ann Killebrew says the consensus today tends to support the cultic interpretation of the early Iron One site, if not the biblical one. In other words,
interesting.
People are now in agreement that what we're looking at here is Joshua's altar, or at least it aligns really well with it. Okay. So when do they date this altar being built?
That's, again, if you find the remains of Jericho, that does not prove the biblical story true. It proves that there's a narrative based on a city that people already knew existed. If you find an altar from that, material culture at that period of time, it doesn't mean, haha, this proves Joshua built it and the narrative of the conquest is true. It means people were already building altars on that mountain during this time period. That's all you can conclusively determine from that. You can't keep stretching. So
that's all it means.
Yeah.
Look, go back. We're gonna look at what Ann Killebrew says here. But even in his quotation here, the consensus today tends to support the cultic interpretation of this early Iron One site. And then she provides a qualification here, if not the biblical one. Do you think Michael knows how to read? Because she didn't say this supports the biblical interpretation of the site.
She
says maybe it doesn't. She's like, it probably doesn't, but at least it's a cultic site. It's a cultic site. Everybody agrees it's a cultic site, but you know what? Maybe not so much the biblical interpretation. Does Michael understand this? Does he understand that she's saying not the biblical one?
Some relevant comments. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for 5. An altar on a mountain in a region that venerated high places for centuries? Fork found in kitchen.
Thank you.
Greaves, also ignoring the spoiler for a second. How can you tell that later writers didn't just know about a pre-existing altar?
Let's
How do
make
we know
a
that
story.
Paul Bunyan didn't dig out the Grand Canyon? I mean,
but also,
the Grand Canyon's right there.
Yeah, let's make a story about it. Stories are fun.
Yeah.
Everybody loves stories.
Right.
Right.
Okay, make sure I catch up on these real quick. Town Matt the Navigator for 5. They combed the desert highlands and they ain't found shit. Love my movie.
Thank you.
Weirdo Rock High Rocks Evan. Late because of transporting a Torah. Very sweaty business. Yeah, those are
Oh my goodness.
quite hefty.
Wow.
Very heavy. Tree climb tab for 2. Or I would teleport Flint Dibble here. I'd like to see that actually.
I would like
really
to
think
see
you
that.
should.
Yeah.
I mean, he already knows Megan and Josh. Like, you should reach out and see if he'd be willing to come on and discuss some of this. He's an archaeologist. That's what he does.
Yeah. So I'll let everyone know that I've been working on doing a show on Gobekli Tepe. That's what it's called, right? Gobekli Tepe.
Yeah.
And I reached out to a friend who is an archaeologist to have him on to talk about it. But he's going digging here. I think he might have left already, actually.
Oh,
for
actual work. Look at that.
He's an archaeologist, right? This is fucking this is what they do. So but he said to me, he said, hey, why don't he says let me reach out to Flint Dibble and see if he would be interested in
like I did. I asked Flint on one of his live streams. I was like, hey, do you know about Digital Hammurabi? And he was like, oh yeah, I know Megan and Josh. So it's right there.
So I think it's probably going to happen. Don't know when yet, but I'm excited about that possibility.
Yeah, this is referring to cribbing John Graham Hancock. So dumb. I hate that guy.
Right.
I mean, I'm not a racist. I just quote from racist writers. Gosh, guys, how could you possibly?
Yeah. All right. I want to read.
Yeah.
I want to read and kill a brew here because I mean he gave us again. He gave us very helpfully gave us a sentence fragment, right? Thanks, Michael.
Page 187.
Let's look at what she says here. So she's talking about excavations of cultic sites in the Samaria region, and mentions Mount Ebal along with the Bull site. And here's what she says. The late 13th and 12th century BCE site on Mount Ebal, popularly known as the location of the much disputed Joshua's altar.
Oh, it's much disputed.
Much disputed Joshua's altar is one of the most extensively excavated early Iron One settlements in northern Samaria. During excavations from 1982 to 1989, Zertel distinguished 2 strata, one dating to the second half of the 13th century, Stratum 2, and one to the first half of the 12th century, Stratum 1. The site was subsequently abandoned. The principal Stratum 1 archaeological remains include a large, rectangular structure constructed of unhewn stones that measures 9.5 by 7.1 meters and is 3 meters high. Like, the thing about the Mount Ebal site is that it is, and like it's an enormous altar platform. I've seen scholars say that it's unique. It is a one-of-a-kind cultic site in the area. There is nothing to compare it to. Part of the reason why it's been so difficult up until fairly recently to settle on exactly what this is. It's not a tower, okay? It's not a fortification. It's an altar. Everybody agrees about this now. But one of the reasons for that disagreement was the fact that it's so big. Like, it's huge. Really interesting for my lights that the fact that you've got this gigantic altar platform. What are you doing on a giant altar platform? That's the question I ask right away. I don't fucking care about Joshua or the Israelites so much as I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing here? Really? That's the first question I'm asking. Because you only build something that big if you need to kill a lot of shit. I mean, that you need something to hold all the dead stuff. So yeah, It's big. By the way, humans are large animals. Just saying.
Indeed, we are. We are great apes.
So its interior structure was filled with layers of fieldstones, earth, and ash deposits. The ashes contained burnt bones of bull, sheep, goats, and fallow deer. That's the interior structure. Okay, that's not, you know, there's the platform, and then there's the fill underneath it, right? An inclined perpendicular wall is interpreted as a ramp leading to the top of the rectangular structure. Numerous other installations are contemporary with the use of the rectangular structure. Inner and outer enclosure walls encompass the site, with an entrance located in the southeast. Initially, several scholars expressed skepticism regarding Zartal's interpretation of the structure as an early Iron One open-air altar site associated with the emergence of Israel. However, the consensus today tends to support the cultic interpretation of this early Iron One site, if not the biblical one. So all she's saying is there's a giant fucking altar here. It coincides with the emergence of ancient Israel. That's it. That's all we have.
Yeah.
We have an altar, and it coincides with the emergence of ancient Israel. Is this an Israelite site? Maybe. We don't know. It coincides with the emergence of ancient Israel. That's all we have to this point. So yeah, so I've got but play a little bit more of the video, maybe finish up this section of him talking about Monoball. I'll read something else, and then we'll look at some other video.
Really well with it. So when do they date this altar being built? Basically around 1200 or so. Slightly 1240 or ended 1200 or so. It lines really well at the time of Joshua. Now, have you ever noticed something interesting in the Bible? They build this cultic site on Mount Ebal in Joshua, and then you never hear about it again. How come? Well, they moved the cultic site to Shiloh, Nob, and then eventually Jerusalem. Well, what happened to Ai? It seems that it was actually abandoned. That would align with the biblical record. They stopped using it, right? They used other sites for the Ark of the Temple and for sacrifice. It was really only in use during the time of Joshua and shortly after. Well, this is what we see in the biblical data here as well. So
there can only be one
campaigns?
explanation for this, right? Just one.
Yeah, weren't there campaigns to destroy these high places, not just abandon them? People going, yeah, let's just move on. I think it'd be better in
Right,
Shiloh.
yeah.
Let's go down south.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a, as I was saying, there, you know, there's not just one explanation for this stuff. Sure. I guess you could say that this aligns with the biblical timeline. Okay. There's a variety of ways that this can be explained without ever opening your Bible. And they're all perfectly sensible explanations. Cultic sites will pass out of usage sometimes for various reasons. Like it's not it's just not so cut and dried. In Michael's eyes, if you can't prove it's not from Joshua, that means it is from Joshua. Very well said. It is from Joshua.
Yeah.
John Gooderham. This is exactly what's going on here.
This is not how serious scholarship works in pretty much any.
It sure isn't. Not at
negative.
all. No. And you just don't assume it in the absence of the explanation. You don't assume it. You don't assume your explanation. You provide for the options. Here are the things that explain what probably happened. Now, which seems most likely, which then aligns with an accumulation of data beyond just, these features. I feel like there's a whole ass post-exilic king about this.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Again, now we have another key point that aligns with our biblical data here. Let's talk about the last city that was destroyed, Hazor.
All right.
Hazor was in the north.
We'll get to Hatzor in a second. But before we do, let's finish talking about this fascinating site at Mount Ebal. Ann Killebrew, I didn't draw any attention to it, but Ann Killebrew cited this source by Almahai Mazar, this phenomenal book, as part of the biblical resource series. His book on biblical archaeology that was published like I think almost 30 years ago now, but it's just such an excellent comprehensive book, even if it is a little dated. It's still just so good. People should check it out. So here's what he says. And what makes this book so good is that it provides pretty good, accessible, in-depth discussions about virtually every known at the time site in the entire region. It's a huge book and it's loaded with information. Here's what he says about Mount Ebal. An ambiguous and controversial discovery. Those are always good, aren't they?
Ambiguous and controversial.
Controversial. Was made on Mount Ebal north of Shechem. Early Israelite tradition regards this mount as the place where Joshua built an altar. See Joshua 8:30-32, also Deuteronomy 11:29 and 27, verse 4-8. The painstaking survey of the entire mount revealed only one Iron 1H site. The material culture found in the excavation of this site is similar to that of other Iron Age 1 settlements in the Central Hill Country. Yet, the peculiarities in the architecture and finds led the excavator, Adam Zotal, to suggest that this was an early Israelite shrine on Mount Ebal. The 1-acre site was surrounded by a stone wall. In an early phase of the site's history, a circular 2-meter wide installation was constructed. Now, this is important. Remember, I mentioned that the fill of the site was was comprised of a lot of different types of animal bone. So there's this enormous platform, but it's built on top of a much smaller circular altar. The circular altar dates to like the 13th century. The huge platform that has covered the circular altar and is filled with all the animal bones and ash and debris and dirt and stuff. So that all comes from a century later, and then the site seems to have been abandoned after that. So this is in an early phase of the site's history, a circular 2-meter wide installation was constructed on. So here, this is what we're looking at here, right?
Ooh.
That's the altar. You can't really see on this image where the old circular altar is. He's got like a it's not a great photograph here of what the site looks like today. You saw some pictures that Michael Jones showed. We'll see some other ones here in a minute. It's a remarkable site. So the circular altar is buried there at the highest point. The site's ritual purpose is suggested by the animal bones, probably originated in this phase, found in the fill of the superseding structure. The bones include those of ritually clean young male animals, which may have been sacrificed here. 2 scarabs, one dating to Ramesses II, are attributed to this phase. You can kind of understand why Michael's excited about this, right? I mean, it fits, as he says, fits the time period. Later, above the installation, a rectangular structure, 8 by 9 meters, with massive outer walls was constructed. Its interior was divided by a partition wall into 2 chambers. But in spite of the good state of preservation, no opening was found. The inside space of the structure was filled with stones, earth, ash, and animal bones. On the southern side, and attached to it were two large rooms or courtyards separated from each other by a wide wall. Zartal interpreted the rectangular structure as a large altar and identified some of the components as its parapet and ramp. He alluded to the Jerusalem altar described in the Mishnah, and he proposed that the mountable structure was the very altar noted in the books of Joshua and Deuteronomy. The archaeologist who excavated the site spent his career defending this as Joshua's altar. I think that's an important point. This interpretation caused a scholarly controversy as there are no archaeological parallels, none, for such a large monumental altar anywhere else, and Zartal's view was thought by some as a naive correlation between archaeological features and biblical tradition, which perhaps is of much later date. The critiques, especially that of A. Kempinski, claim that the central structure at Mount Ebal was of a secular nature, a watchtower in the center of an Israelite farmstead of the settlement period, like the square tower found at Gilo. The case of Mount Ebal illustrates the difficulties in interpreting an archaeological discovery, particularly in relation to the biblical sources. Zertel may be wrong in the details of his interpretation, but it is tempting to accept his view concerning the basic cultic nature of the site and its possible relationship to the biblical tradition. This tradition came to us indeed in the framework of Deuteronomistic literature of a much later date, but it is very possible that this literature preserved old traditions which go back to the period of the settlement. The biblical references to the sanctity of Mount Ebal could be one of these old traditions. What is he saying here? Like, he's saying essentially that, no question, this is a cultic site. No question. This dates back to the period that is conventionally assigned to the Israelite conquest, the emergence of what scholars, archaeologists will identify as Proto-Israel, the tribal period, the pre-monarchic period of Israelite emergence, Israelite cultural emergence. But Joshua, conquest,
I don't know about that.
more likely altar. And then, these stories develop. People like to tell stories.
We do.
They
Humans do love storytelling. While you're getting your next comment up here, cuneiform guy notes the priesthood of El moved from peak to peak in Canaan. It wasn't a temple cult. And I think that's also one of the reasons that in, the priestly literature and the later like Deuteronomistic source, you have such an emphasis on temple, Jerusalem, centralize. Why would you need to have that strong of a push unless people were moving around, unless there were multiple ritual sites? So you see this conflict between the Judahite, priestly system and its centralization in Jerusalem and like the northern, hill country where people were moving around from peak to peak, and you have a completely different like priestly lineage or lineages, and those are in conflict with each other. So it's so interesting that like what they tell you directly and then what they're not directly telling you, even though they're being very like, do it this way. It really tells you like where their priorities are and what they're culturally dealing with and what they're trying to like force the people to do. And it doesn't seem like it catches on, it's like, oh no, this other king rebuilt all the high places. We got to go right back through and tell him not to. And it's like, that's what they want to do. That's probably what they were doing ever since they were considered part of like the larger Canaanite group. they're just like, well, why should we change? You're the one who sucks. Like,
right? Yeah,
you know?
exactly. It's
Yeah, that's
no,
tend to be how we are.
excellent point, Canadian guy and Vish. Thank you for
Yeah.
fleshing that out for us. My friend Hayden Tank says almost like people had traditions about the land they lived in and their neighbors. It's like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
I mean, imagine a bunch of jerks coming back from Babylon, you know, and going, well, actually, we have the right way to do it, and you're all doing it wrong. You would be like, my brother, we never left. We're just doing it the way that we've always done it.
That's it. We're just doing what we've always been doing. Simone says, and I mean, I think people look like, I'm sorry, people look like they got upset when I got after Simone for spoiling.
No, he's just playing. He's just playing around.
I'm just playing, guys. And we'll get there in a minute. But I love Simone. She knows how much I love her. Even the holiness material doesn't presuppose cultic centralization, and that's generally regarded to be pretty late. The curses for multiple sanctuaries, as might the bit immediately before that. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah.
In my opinion, that implies that P itself doesn't presuppose centralization, as the idea that the people adding to P disagreed with P on that major point is a bit weird.
It's a bit weird, right?
A little weird.
And this is part of it, right? Like they're just not. You remember all that stuff I said about complexity? Like you're just not thinking through all the nooks and crannies and the nuances of what's going on here. There's
like once you kind of disabuse yourself of the notion that the narrative is telling you an accurate picture that's very linear and, you know, whatever, once you kind of like put that aside and you go, oh wait, yeah, they probably never really were a united kingdom. They probably never had like one single system that was like idealized and then it fractured and they went their separate ways. Like they probably didn't really get along very well. And you see conflict between the people who were able to stay in the land versus like the elites that were deported and came back later. And once you kind of start unpacking those dynamics, a lot of these narratives start making a lot more sense. You're like, oh, well, this is why there's stories of the patriarchs way back in the ancient times building an altar at Shiloh or Bethel or wherever that are places that are very definitively not Jerusalem. And they're not castigated for that. It's like, oh, it's okay because, you know, like a really important thing happened at this site that justifies him building an altar here, even though the bulk of the priestly commands are like, no, Jerusalem only. You can't build anywhere else. You have to explain why there's other sites going on, right? So
yeah, look, so the thing about this is like no one is saying that these are stories that were created completely from whole cloth, right?
Yeah,
they are drawing. I mean, they're constructing stories that make sense to them, that are based on things that they have vague recollections of having happened in the distant past. Like it's just these things have to fit, right? So there's a lot going on here. Do you want to look at?
We don't completely toss out cultural memory. Like
no,
we don't just
God,
go,
no,
lol, fake. Like no, there's little elements there that people remember, and those start to form parts of what later becomes, you know, the narratives that we're familiar with. They build on each other. So people wouldn't really have accepted it if there weren't any ties to their cultural memory. They'd be like, what? That's fake. That's dumb. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
But
so
anyway, there's just so
okay.
It's where they sacrifice behemoth.
Nice. Because it's huge, right?
Yeah,
double dunking
exactly.
on Michael's. Oh my God, that would be incredible. Sadly, it's not. The video I have selected is not Michael Jones. It's a new guy that I found, and I'm hoping I actually can do some other stuff with the new guy. Or I mean, responding to the new guy, but it's coming. We'll see what happens. Thanks, Tricom.
Thank
wow.
you, gave 5
Henko
Kit
for
Davis
5
memberships,
memberships.
so y'all can put your Mud Kit Davis emojis in the chat if you like. And the Teddy the Wonder Lizard for 5 just wanted to say hi. Got here late and have to leave early. We'll watch the stream later. Have a great weekend.
Bye, and Teddy the Wonder Lizard.
Another
holy
10
shit. Wow.
memberships. Thank you. That is
Lyra.
very generous, Lyra.
Very generous. You
Y'all can
spoil us.
spam your relevant limited emojis.
We have
Lieutenant
more
Matt
than just
Navigator
the
for
Mudkip
5.
emoji, guys.
There's
yes.
3. It's a weird coincidence that the right way to worship is the one the people writing the text practice. Exactly.
Go figure.
Well, how about that? Yeah.
One more from Tree Clan Tad, I think, and then we'll I'll read this quote.
Yeah. Good thing no one's ever built a fucking altar anywhere outside of Jerusalem.
Excellent. All right.
Yeah, so, definitely not at a place called Beth El. You know,
Geez.
House of El.
It's maybe a little bit off the nose there again. I don't know. Yeah. So this is another comment about the Monoball course site from about a decade or 15 years later from Amahai Mazar. Lots of Amahai Mazar in the stuff we've been doing, but I mean he's just a fantastic resource. For those who don't know, Dr. Josh and I actually had the privilege to interview Amahai Mazar about the end of the Bronze Age and the beginning of the Iron Age in Canaan. I think it's over a year ago now, but I encourage you to go check it out. It was one of the highlights of my career, honestly. So yeah, it's a video in my catalog. Go watch it. It's delightful. So here, this is him speaking about 15 years ago. The religious practices of the hill country settlers are only meagerly attested. In the biblical tradition, Shiloh was the main religious center of the Israelites on the eve of the monarchy. It was the location of the tabernacle, and the biblical sources, in fact, seem to allude to a temple that stood there. Excavations at the site of Kiryat Seilun, the location of ancient Shiloh, have revealed a small town of the Iron Age one that was destroyed by a heavy conflagration, perhaps the one remembered in the biblical traditions, Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 12, chapter 26, verses 6 and 9. No remains of the cult center at Shiloh could be recovered, since the central part of the site was thoroughly destroyed by erosion and by Byzantine buildings. On Mount Ebal, north of Shechem, Adam Zertel discovered an unusual site which he identified as the location of Joshua's altar. The 0.4 hectare site was surrounded by a stone wall. In its earliest occupation phase, dated to the late 13th century BCE, a circular installation was constructed on its highest point. Burnt animal bones, probably originating in this phase, were retrieved from the fill of a superseding structure. This later rectangular 8 by 9 meter structure was built of massive outer walls and with no opening, and the inner space was filled with stones, earth, ash, and animal bones. On the southern side and attached to it were 2 large rooms or courtyards separated from each other by a wide wall. Zartal interpreted this rectangular structure as a large altar and identified some of its components as its parapet and ramp, yet these identifications are based on biblical and Mishnaic descriptions. This interpretation remains highly controversial, since no other altar from the entire Iron Age is of such size and magnitude. An alternative interpretation is that the structure had a non-religious function, perhaps as a podium for a watchtower like that at Gilo. While Zertel may be wrong in his interpretation of the structure, it seems possible that in the early phase of the site, it indeed was utilized for cultic activity. It is not impossible that the much later biblical account preserves an ancient memory related to this mountain and even to this particular site, the only Iron One site on the mount. In this case, it would mean that the Deuteronomistic literature preserved traditions that go back to the period of the settlement. So a slightly different, Mazar actually leans a little closer to the interpretation of the tower at a later period that was perhaps constructed on top of an altar. So a little different, but again, note the caution, right? Note the responsible uncertainty about what exactly we're dealing with. Note that he's not jumping with, both feet into an explanation about what's going on here, because this is what archaeology and history do. This is how this works, guys.
Yeah.
But
my goodness,
we need to talk. Okay, hit that, and then
holy
we need
crap!
to pull up
Real quick,
video.
yeah. Okay, so Anko gave another 5 memberships.
Wow, you guys!
Thank you very, very much. And then Tree Clan
Holy
Pad
cow.
gave 10. So everybody's being very, very generous.
Very generous.
Today.
I think
really
we're up
awesome.
to. Are we up to like 40 memberships today?
Somewhere in that
insane.
neighborhood. It's a lot.
Good
yeah.
Lord, you guys.
Steve. And then really quickly,
I know what to
Ian
do,
was
Jillian.
asking, how many hours of study, learning, and practice is required to be a generalist in biblical studies? I am nowhere near qualified to answer that.
Good Lord. I mean that's I think that's literally a PhD.
Yeah.
You're talking about thousands of hours of study and work here to get to that point. And especially if you're a generalist in biblical studies, like you can be a generalist in the Hebrew Bible or the New Testament. There's very, very few of those anymore, just because the literature has just become, there's too much. You can't do it anymore. Like you just can't. You can be a generalist in the very superficial sense, but everybody's specializing, because that's the only way you get anything done at a sufficient level. And that's why you need literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of biblical scholars, because there's no single individual who can do this. And holy shit.
Well, like I learn all of this, secondhand. I engage with like their videos. I download their monographs whenever I can. I have some of the books on my shelf, but like I'm absolutely not fluent in the literature. Like if you were to ask me where would I go to read about blah, I wouldn't be able to tell you, because I'm not actually in the field. I'm like, I would say I'm kind of like an enthusiast. I'm learning this as part of like a different study program. So I've had to, hey, so-and-so, where would I go to look for this thing? Or I'll tap Chrissy or Simone or Josh or somebody, because I know that they'll have, a good idea of where to find information. They're like, oh, check the Atla database, or oh, do this thing. So I think that's also a little different than other people. I'm not in a matriculated program at the moment. So and then while I was rambling, Greaves gave 10 more memberships. We are on fire, y'all. I'm gonna make some emojis this weekend.
Humbled. Yeah. I like that idea.
Figure out some stuff. Some
you guys
memes.
seriously,
People
you guys deserve something new. It's all there still, Granny. It's just it's tucked back here. By the way, guys, I'm going to be on Godless Granny's channel tomorrow afternoon. I'm pretty excited about it. So go check it out. I believe we start at 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern. Please confirm. Oh my God, stop. Oh my God, you guys.
Kat, what are y'all doing? Make it rain. 10 more memberships. Like it looks like some of them are trying to just make it to where everyone in the chat is green.
Well, I honestly think a lot of this is the fact that that poor Jillian just doesn't ever get.
It's a running
I don't know what to do. Right. I just don't know what to do. So please confirm the time of our stream tomorrow, Granny. I'll make sure to mention it again at the end. But we honestly, we gotta get going here. Can you bring up the next video? We're going to talk
One
about. Remember
the
what I
stone
said
person.
about the monoball site? Remember what I said about
Mhm.
it? Remember what I said to remember? Michael Jones said this is in the right place. It's in the right place. This monoball site. The altar, it's in the exact right, it's in the right spot. Thank you. 3:30 Central, 1:30 Pacific. I think that's 4:30 Eastern. So it's in the right place, says Michael Jones. That's how we know, right? That this is Joshua's altar. So like a year ago, no, I think 2 years ago now. I think this was 2 years ago. I did a course on Israelite religions, and my good friend Paula Gia was
Mhm.
very kind to promote the course, and he and I sat down and made a video about it, all about the discovery on the Mount site of a defixio, a supposed bronze a lead amulet, curse amulet. That's not that. That's not what it is. But it's
Oh my god. Alira with 50 Kip Davis memberships. I'm not even going to try to read out who all gets them. This is
God damn it, you
wild.
guys. I just don't know what to say.
My goodness.
I mean, I guess I could say that.
I can say, Ahavtika, I love you.
I could just see people like getting their email notifications and being like, oh wait, I forgot to even subscribe to this channel.
Oh yeah, right. I know. And that's the way YouTube works nowadays too. It's just like everybody, who's not paying any attention is getting memberships. But oh my god, you guys, I'm out of words.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much, Elira and Tad and Grieve and everybody who's been just like insanely generous today. I appreciate it so much. But on that note, we're gonna watch this little bit in this video about the monoball site that Paul and I talked about a couple of years ago.
I almost forgot. I promise I'm more coordinated than this usually. Okay, there we go.
I think you said in the 80s, was digging at Mount Ebal, left behind just kind of sifted material he assumed had no significance.
We also dry sifted it the same way that he did. We went back to the dump and dry sifted everything, but then we took it through another process of wet sifting. So we missed it in dry sifting just like they did. It was only in the final process of wet sifting that we recovered.
Mount Ebal was excavated by University of Haifa archaeologist Adam Zertal between 1980 to 1989 as part of a larger survey of the so-called Manasseh Hill country.
In Joshua 8, the Israelites gathered to reaffirm their covenant with God. Joshua separated all the people into two groups, one on Mount Ebal and the other across the valley to the south on Mount Gerizim. The priests gathered in the valley between the two mountains, then shouted blessings at all the tribes assembled on Mount Gerizim on the south side, and then hurled curses at all the people on Mount Ebal on the north side.
So when Zertal excavated at Mount Ebal, he unearthed a sizable stone structure on the north side that he interpreted as a huge cult platform or an altar. This structure measures 9.5 by 7 meters and would be far and away the largest known altar in the region. It's a fascinating one-of-a-kind monument. According to Zioni Zebed, quote, the structure is so unique in the repertoire of Syrian-Palestinian archaeological discoveries that many archaeologists have been reluctant to accept Zertal's interpretation, end quote. Zertal says that this huge altar was built over top of a smaller round altar that he asserted was the altar which Joshua erected on the Mountain of Curses, Mount Ebal. Unfortunately, problematically, this structure is located on the north side, which is the opposite side of the mountain from Mount Gerizim. It is 1.7 kilometers away and 140 meters below the summit. So this interpretation seems strange and unlikely. Nevertheless, the site seems to have been a cultic structure of some kind that archaeologists largely agree was operative for about a 100-year period between 1250 to 1150 BCE. and it was large enough to have been a multi-tribal pilgrimage center before the erection of the.
I can't. Not only is it not actually on Mount Ebal,
Well, it
It's
is
almost
it is.
2
It's just,
kilometers
you know,
away. It's not even at the highest point. Y'all, I cannot. Remember that time that Mike said it was exactly where it should be?
exactly where it's supposed to be, guys. This altar.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
We could probably just drop it now and bring up the next video, which is Professor Dr. Robert Cargill, who started the channel Bible and Archaeology a number of years back, which is continued and really I think
Well
has
done.
been very
Jordan.
improved and well done by Dr. Jordan Jones, who is presently on a tour with students of Greece for the month of June,
Nice.
which is why he's not been on Katie Antibreed, but he's coming back, guys. But and also I need to say this as well. Bob Cargill and I exchanged phone numbers at SBL in November, and it's my bad that I haven't gotten around to actually texting Bob to get him on the channel to talk about this stuff, but he is coming to talk about this stuff. It's happening as soon as I get off my lazy ass to do some of this stuff. So here is do we have the did I put a timestamp in here? I think, didn't I, Vish? I think I said 23:41. Sorry
okay.
about that.
I will
You want to
scroll it over to there.
So here Bob is going to talk about he's going to talk about this Mount Ebal site. He's going to make the same point that I just made about it being in the wrong place, but he's going to give us a little bit more detail about that. And then there's another video that I want to bring up that Bob produced after this too. So ladies and gentlemen,
it's debris, it's sifted.
Dr. Bob Cargill.
Okay, it's just how he came about this thing is automatically suspect because it came from a debris pile that's been sitting out in the open. Then it was transported to a sifting station. Then it was sifted, and now you've got this thing. So just the way that it came about, it wasn't dug out of an excavation site. It was sifted from a debris pile that's been there for a while.
Pause it for a second.
But
just so everyone's with him,
I
he's
did not
talking
realize.
about this lead amulet that was discovered more recently in the debris piles. But now he's going to talk more about the site itself, the original excavations of Mount Ebal proper, which happened in the 1980s. Sorry about that.
In Joshua 8, when the Israelites cross the Jordan, remember the Ark of the Covenant, the priests touch the water splits. So when they come out on the Exodus, the Red Sea splits and they leave. And then when they come into the Holy Land, the Jordan River splits and they come in. And then they go up and they're supposed to take half the tribes and put them on Gerizim and half the tribes and put them on Mount Ebal. And they do blessings and they do curses. Okay. Joshua 8:30. Then Joshua built on Mount Ebal an altar to the Lord, the God of Israel, just as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded the Israelites, as it is written in the book of the law of Moses, an altar of unhewn stones on which no iron tool has been used. And they offered on it burnt offerings to the Lord and sacrificed offerings of well-being. And then note this part. And there, this is the Hebrew word sham, in the presence of the Israelites, Joshua wrote on the stones a copy of the law of Moses, which he had written. All Israel, alien as well as citizen, with their elders and officers and their judges, stood on opposite sides of the ark in front of the Levitical priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord, half of them in front of Mount Gerizim and half of them in front of Mount Ebal, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded at the first, that they should bless the people of Israel. So what it appears that the text is describing is that the altar is on Mount Ebal, but it doesn't say that they ever left this place, right? Joshua built the altar on the Mount Ebal side, right, as he was commanded, of unhewn stones, and they put the burnt offerings. And there, at that same site, in the presence of all of these Israelites, Joshua wrote on the stones, presumably of the altar, a copy of the law of Moses. All Israel, right? It doesn't say they went anywhere. It doesn't say they moved. It doesn't say they migrated. All Israel, alien as well as citizen, with the elders and the officers and the judges, stood on opposite sides of the ark. So apparently the ark's right there with the altar, which makes sense, right? The presence of God and the altar together in front of the Levitical priests who carried the ark. Okay, that makes sense. And half of them are in front of Mount Gerizim, right? Facing Mount Ebal, and the other half of them in front of Mount Ebal, facing Mount Gerizim, just as Moses had commanded, right? They don't have PA systems in antiquity. You got to get them on the side of a mountain. They're facing each other. The altar's there, the ark's there, and you have this ceremony with the two sides, the 12 tribes, 6 on each, in front of each mountain, right? On each mountain, facing each other. So the question is, why is the supposed altar of Joshua on the far side of Mount Ebal? By the way, Adam Zertal recognized this problem. I mean, he recognized that the altar was on the wrong side of Mount Ebal, which is why he proposed that Mount Gerizim wasn't the actual Mount Gerizim that we all know today. It was actually a mountain to the east of Mount Ebal, Mount Kabir, which everyone rejected. But he wanted Mount Gerizim to be on the side of Mount Ebal that his altar was on, because he needed Mount Gerizim to be across from his altar. And he knows that the supposed Joshua's altar, the thing that he was claiming was Joshua's altar, is on the far side of Mount Ebal from Mount Gerizim. So he proposed that some mountain to the east of Mount Ebal was actually Mount Gerizim, which of course was universally rejected by everyone. So Zertal
Laughs in Samaritan.
Yes. Yeah. Easy. The mountains must have moved. Yeah.
Somebody had the faith of a mustard seed and told that mountain, told the real Mount Gerizim to get up and move. That's what Jesus was talking about.
Faith of a mustard seed. That's right. Let's just make shit up. It's like history, but it fits better. God. So
this is my new headcanon that Jesus was referring to Mount Gerizim being relocated.
Yes, that's so
like the faith of a mustard seed moved that mountain, and that's why the altar doesn't sit at the place that it should.
Think about that though, right? The guy who excavated the site was like, fuck. The only way I can make this work is if
by moving the mountain.
The mountain is actually on the other side. Like, we're already 2 kilometers away from the actual correct side of Mount Ebal. The mountain is actually another, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 kilometers away on the other side. The guy who excavated the site said this. Michael Jones, why aren't you telling your audience about this? Do you even know? Have you even fucking read what Zertal said? Have you even fucking read the criticisms of his work? Do you understand why this is not Joshua's altar? Do you have a fucking clue?
I just look at the geography of this. Look at the topography. These 2 mountain peaks, little valley in the middle. It is perfect for that story. But because he wants the narrative to be true, and we're not finding the evidence that would support that, his solution is, well, shit, maybe I just need the mountain to be in a different place that's even further away. So even if people were standing on it, you wouldn't be able to hear that. Why not use the natural kind of almost amphitheater setup? No, he's going to move it really far. Like, this is why you have to go where the evidence leads, and you can't just alter geography to make this work. Where's the comment from Simone? Maybe Mount Gerizim was one of the mountains made level so the Jews could return to Jerusalem from Babylon, as described in Isaiah.
You guys are the best, honestly. I love you guys.
Tree Clam Tad for 5. Michael Jones, have you even fucking read? I'm gonna stop you right there, Dr. Davis.
Thank you.
He also says for 2, well, if the mountain must come to Muhammad. Hey, we're moving mountains. We violate international antiquities laws, my boys.
Okay.
For real. Get in.
We haven't even talked
And
about
then
that
Graves
yet,
gave
but
a
we're going
couple
to.
of memberships, and then
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
exactly does not mean close. Yeah, this is right where we would where it's supposed to be.
Close.
No,
It's not.
not.
Michael Jones has blocked me on all of his social media platforms for good reason, because
He doesn't want to hear it.
that way he doesn't have to hear it. He doesn't have to deal with me. But my God, I'm begging you, Michael, if somehow this gets in front of you, yes, please respond to me. Please. I'm begging you to respond to me, because you're just not dealing with this stuff, and you should be dealing with it. So come on, let's go. Get out here. Deal with it. You need to deal with it. You owe your audience that much. So,
Yeah.
we're still crying.
He
about
is still
Dan
crying
blocking.
about Dan blocking him. Dan
That's
just
true.
got sick of his bullshit and was like, meh, be gone.
It's true.
But he wanted Senpai to notice him because Dan has a huge platform, and that would help Mike out a lot.
It could help Mike.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep going with this one, or do you want to?
Lieutenant? No, we're gonna drop this one. Grab Lieutenant.
Okay.
I'll grab Lieutenant Matt the Navigators. Do you want to bring the other video up?
The other video.
I think I've got a timestamp there for you too. I think, right?
Yeah.
No, we're just starting at the at the beginning.
Top. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $2 says this is Joseph Smith level geography. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yes, it is.
Dan wouldn't block him if he was capable of engaging in good faith, but he's not. I mean, honestly, at this point, maybe, but it's like you try this dude's patience long enough, and he's like, I don't want to waste any more effort. So I wouldn't blame him if he doesn't.
Indeed.
Okay, here we go. Bob Cargill, part 2.
We're shifting gears a little bit here. And this is probably all we have time for today. But I wanted to definitely get through the monoball stuff. I said I wanted to get through the hot source stuff too, didn't I? Whoops. But we'll see. Because it's 4 o'clock. 7 o'clock.
Damn it, Jillian.
Oh boy.
I needed that laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the Richard Carrier of locating mountains. Wow. Yeah. Jillian, I don't know. Did Jillian actually get a membership today?
Not yet.
Jesus. Holy shit.
This happens
I feel like
all the time.
Yeah, it does.
All the time.
Wow. So
sorry,
I was pulling up the same time too.
Goodness.
You guys are too good.
Jeez.
Jillian definitely
Okay.
wins the internet today, if nothing else. Let's listen to Professor Bob Cargill from the University of Iowa on the political agenda at Mount Ebal.
Hey, welcome back. I'm Dr. Bob Cargill, the excavator, and the Mount Ebal Balagan is the gift that keeps on giving when it comes to archaeological content and what not to do when it comes to archaeology, Israel, all of the things that we try to teach our students not to do when it comes to biblical archaeology. This Associates for Biblical Research and Gershon Galil and Scott Stripling and this whole matter, it just keeps revealing itself as exactly what we said it was. It's one of those things where you don't want to say, I told you so, but in a very unfortunate way, it is what we said it was going to be. Now, I've made 4 videos. This will be number 5, and it's just turning into exactly what we said it was going to be. Case in point, Nir Hassan, a very good journalist working in Israel, wrote for Haaretz that the Mount Ebal team, the Associate for Biblical Research, and Scott Stripling, and
I'm sorry, I just need to read this headline again to make sure that it caused the appropriate amount of facepalm.
It did.
Yeah.
With
Excuse me while I
Israeli
just go
army backing,
scream into the
settlers
air.
excavate West Bank archaeological site in Palestinian territory. So I should point out,
Activist.
guys,
Says the excavation was carried out without the Palestinian Authority's permission and can amount to antiquity theft. But also the fact that settlers are doing excavations, these aren't trained professionals, and they have the army going in, obviously fully armed, to protect them while they do this. This is malfeasance at just every level.
yes, it is.
Wow.
I need to point out that Michael Jones, to his credit, is not promoting the lead object from Mount Ebal as a curse tablet. I mean, I guess that's good, but he's never going to talk about this. He's never going to talk about this. He's continuing to promote the site as Joshua's altar. All of that is problematic, continues to be problematic, and I'm here. I'm always going to be here telling you that no, it's just not. I mean, and there's more at stake than just the historical accuracy, as we shall see in Bob's comments here.
Okay.
And one of their partners working with them, who's involved in this, took some more of the dirt. They actually convinced the civil authority for Judea and Samaria. This is the group, and we've discussed this in the past, that archaeological sites in the West Bank that aren't official Israel Antiquities Authority sites, IAA sites, that are supposedly they supposedly belong to the Palestinian people. But because of the security arrangements that are in Israel, the civil administration for what they call Judea and Samaria, this is the West Bank, right, the southern part and the northern part, Samaria and Judea, the army basically is in control of this. And if you can convince the civil administrator to let you do things, they let you do things. And this group of political activists, these would be right-wing Israeli political activists, settlers, right, who live in settlements in the West Bank. They convinced the civil administrator, the army, to let them take more of this dirt from this dump pile on Mount Ebal. This is dirt that Adam Zertal excavated 40 years ago. It's just been sitting there in the open. So who knows how contaminated it is. They've already been digging through it and sifting through it again. This is the same dump pile that this hunk of lead that Professor Galil, his imagination sees these letters in some scans that were taken, and they announced this. It's the whole amount of all nonsense, right? They've taken more of this dirt, and they've actually taken it back to a settlement there in the West Bank, Shavei Shomron. So they're actually transporting this dirt to the northwest of Mount Ebal so that they can sift it some more. So some people say, who cares? They're just taking this dirt from Mount Ebal, this fill, it's backfill, right? They took it and they excavated, they dumped it. But what they're going to do with it.
This video is about 2 years old.
Just red flags everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's about
the
2
whole
years
thing
old.
when you hear the right wing Israelis talking about Judea and Samaria, it's a way to erase the Palestinian identity. They don't want to call it the West Bank. They don't want to say, Palestinians. They don't want to give any legitimacy, so they erase them by saying, "Oh, it's Judea and Samaria." Shut up.
Is they're going to sift it. Nir Hassan, I'm going to read the article here. Nir Hassan reports that they were actually putting up signs. This is the Shomrim al-Netzach, the Keepers of Eternity. This is a political action group saying, let's make history. It's a project that's basically saying, who knows, maybe we can find some more amulets. We said in an earlier video, I don't know, this first one, the second one, we began to hint at, not only is this a nonsensical claim, not only are there no letters on this amulet they're reading in this scans, but we hinted at the idea that what this actually is an attempt to annex the Mount Ebal, Mount Gerizim region from the Palestinian people for Israel. There's something else going on here as well. And that is, this is a PR campaign in an effort to essentially annex one of the most sacred mountains in the West Bank for Israel, this altar of Joshua altar on Mount Ebal. Now, there was an excavation that was carried out there years ago, but this mountain and Mount Gerizim are in the West Bank. But there are people, Israeli individuals, Jewish individuals living in the West Bank who would like to see this not be the case. They would like to see Israel at least come in and annex some of these sites, like the so-called altar of Joshua. And again, in the first video, we discussed this. This is not the altar of Joshua. I mean, there's claims to it, but it's just not. And that's why the Israel Antiquities Authority has not deemed it so. They have not made this an official IAA site, and they won't. But look what happened just this week in Sebastia, nearby. They're going to put together some money, and they're going to start reconstructing and working on this site. And that's what this, I believe, again, my opinion, I believe that's what this is about. They're trying to push support to annex this site. There's a political agenda behind it, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the same thing is going on here. There's a political agenda behind, at least part of what's going on here.
Yeah, that's another thing. This does happen pretty regularly, is either settlers or soldiers or whoever is motivated to go in and like ethnically cleanse a village. You can't always do that with force. So they'll go, oh, we found an archaeological site, or oh, we found a historical site, or oh, they try to establish some claim, and then, well, we'll build a history center there, we'll build a this or that, and then suddenly that's their way of de facto annexing it from the Palestinians living there. So just because it's not people chasing you out with guns or bulldozers, it doesn't make it like not ethnic cleansing. So yeah, Cargill's right that these people are ideologically motivated. They are not motivated by history or actual like archaeological, reasons. And just like I said, it's malfeasance at every level. It's really no different than people like Ron Wyatt going around saying like, oh, I found the Ark, or oh, I found, Noah's place, or all this other crap. It's right. It's ideology. I found chariot wheels in the Red Sea. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
So
this is just another form of that.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I've never been to Somalia. I've never been to I've never been to the Mount Ebal site. But I've been to Jerusalem a bunch of times. I've been to the officially sanctioned archaeological park in the city of Jerusalem on the south side of the Temple Mount, which is fucking remarkable. I mean, everybody should go if you have an interest in this and you happen to be there. It's one of the places you need to go. Across the street is the City of David the City of David Park, which is it's one of these, right? It is a non-sanctioned IAA site. This one, I mean, probably is. I mean, it's old Jerusalem, right? It's 10th century Jerusalem, whatever that is. They call it the City of David. But when you go there and you tour around, the thing that was perhaps most remarkable to me was that this was an archaeological, like this was an historic site, privately owned and operated, that was literally encroaching into like the property of people who are just living, like they literally, there are people virtually living on top of this. And I mean, that's what this is. It is, it was an effort to push people out, and successfully push people out of their homes, of their places of residence, on the basis of the recognition that this was there was sensitive cultural heritage material here. Look, there's just some things that aren't worth it. There's just not. I mean, if you have to bulldoze someone's house to get at a piece of culture, no, it's just, you just can't do that. You should not be allowed to do that. And yet this is the kind of thing that that continues to go on.
Yeah. And that's another thing about like how this ties in to things that Mike is doing, is that when you have such a motivation to establish, the quote factual or the historical basis of these texts, what that does is it fuels the ethno-nationalism and the colonial project that these people are trying to do. They're trying to, annex other people's land. They want to claim there. And they're like, anytime they find, anything that would support we have a claim to this land since whenever. Obviously, any date that you pick for a people group that's lived there, and there have been many, many people groups that have lived there over the millennia, any date you pick as a stopping place is fundamentally arbitrary. Like, do you go back 100 years? No. Do you go back 15? What about 2,000, 3,000, 4,000? I mean, this is the thing about that. You trying to draw a hard line and go, well, this is the border of time that we're working with, that we get to, lay claim to a place. Yeah, well, you weren't the first ones there. And there's no evidence that you conquered it fair and square. Like, this is how this plays in. And this is why a lot of Christian evangelicals are themselves supporters of Zionism and the Zionist project. It feeds their theology. And it just grows into this monster that, oh, well, if this group of people has a rightful claim, then people that don't are going against God's plan, and then they're the enemy, and then suddenly you can justify atrocities. That's why stuff like this is important. When you start learning the history here, it helps you dismantle racist ideology. It helps you dismantle colonialist ideology and supremacist ideology. That's part of the reason that this is important to learn and be honest about. This is connected. These things feed each other. So Mike really is doing a disservice, not just to the audience that he's talking to, but he's doing a disservice to all the people who were harmed by this fucking mindset.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, on top of the fact that he's already, he's anti-Arab racist and he's an Islamophobe. So
there's that too, and I don't want to talk about that. But
it's gross.
It's super gross. But there's more. So let's press play.
All right. Yeah, I'm sure he's
And,
going to dig in more.
Real right-wing Israeli politicians, right? They don't want to see any state of Palestine. They don't believe in a two-state solution. Some of them reject the idea of a Palestinian people, right? They don't want to see any of this. And they want this all to be Israel officially. No, Palestinian National Authority, none of this. They don't want this. They don't like the idea that they live in a settlement that the UN deems illegal, right? They don't want this border. They don't want the separation. They want all of that knocked down. They want it to just be one country. And they want to turn Mount Ebal and Mount Gerizim. They basically want to annex it for Israel. That's the goal. That's the intended goal. And there are tour companies. These are Israelis living in the West Bank, in these settlements, who specialize. And we're talking about Aaron Lipkin. Now, the reason I bring him up by name is that when this Mount Ebal hunk of lead was put on tour, right? They made this announcement and then they put it on tour, right? Somehow they got it out of the country. They send it out to do some scans and then they bring it back and then they went on a lecture tour. So they go on tour and this tour guide, Aaron Lipkin, who specializes in tours of the West Bank, these West Bank sites, and one of them being the altar of Joshua, right? The Mount Ebal tradition. And all of a sudden he's giving lectures with Dr. Stripling about, the history of Mount Ebal and this.
Pause it.
Oh my God, it's L.A. Marzulli.
What do you?
It's L.A. motherfucking Marzulli. Holy shit.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
All of these people, and this is when I was talking about the connection between the ethno-nationalism and the Jewish supremacy of this. This is how it ties into the Christian evangelicals, because Christian evangelicals also really want this stuff to be true and factual and historical. So they will throw money at you if you offer to take them on these tours of the Bible places and the things that Jesus did. And like, look how this proves your da-da-da. And obviously, the Jews don't take Christian end times theology seriously. So why do they care? The Christian, industry that funds this is also funding their settler projects. So yeah, sure. Come on over. But yeah, L.A. Marzulli famously, he's a proponent that Nephilim were real and giants existed, and that, humans have this, some humans have intermixed DNA with demonic Nephilim hybrid. Like
Nephilim
it's completely not a sane person. And he runs bullshit historical tours as well. He used to hang out with Brian Forster a lot, and they would go to the places in Peru, talk about ancient lost high technology. And while Brian Forster doesn't agree that they're Nephilim and biblical giants and demons and stuff, LA absolutely does. So, oh God.
All right. So I want to. We need to sit on this for a bit, because I want to talk about some of these people. So I recognized right away when I stopped this and I looked at this. I'd never heard of Aaron Lipkin before. Bob has done us a service in drawing our attention to this guy and to the grift that he is promoting here in service of his really disgusting ethnogenesis. But I do reckon there's another person on this panel that I recognize, and that's Randall Price, third from the left there. So Randall Price is a let me just bring this up here. Where is it this one? I believe that's okay. So this
While
is
you're getting
Randall Price here. Yeah.
You have to grift someone. Evangelicals are your Huckleberry. That is true.
Touche.
Yeah.
All right. So this is Randall Price was a let me make that a little bigger here. How's that look? Oh, yeah, there we go. So this is his
of the Bible.
This is his own personal website now. You can book Dr. Price here. You can look at his speaking schedule. So when you're searching for answers or looking for affirmation of what you believe, you want to know the information you're receiving is legitimate and fact-checked. As fellow believers, we know how life-changing it can be to have an authentic, understanding of Scripture, if you're like most people, you've probably been bombarded with the surplus of inaccurate or incomplete information about the Bible. You've likely wondered if there was an educational resource that could provide an authoritative context around the Bible to help you gain the information you need to better determine how to live out your faith. We want to be discerning and certain about what we believe, and you should have the historical, cultural, and geographical context that reveals the whole truth. At World of the Bible, we understand! Exclamation mark. We have seen the difference it makes when people are equipped with the truth. For almost 30 years, we've helped thousands of people just like you overcome the confusion from distorted information and instead experience the peace that comes from having a reliable frame of reference for Scripture. So,
Of course, you went to
World of the
Liberty.
Bible's founder, Randall Price, was a distinguished research professor of biblical and Judaic studies at Liberty University
Of course.
from 2007 to 2022 before retiring in 2022.
Dallas
Liberty
Theologian- yep.
University, Liberty
Yep.
University, everyone, is the famous school of Jerry Falwell, Sr., where they teach young Earth creationism and
Mhm.
flood geology, I believe. So
Mhm.
Randall Price is also he has circulated in spaces of Dead Sea Scrolls specialists because he was involved in some of the excavation work at so-called Cave 12, where they didn't actually find any text, but was probably a cave connected to the same Qumran group. And we
Oh,
know that
snap.
based on pottery, right? And there's some textiles there that seem to work. What's this?
I currently go to
wow.
Liberty. I have anything about that. Are you talking about young Earth creationism? Please
Interesting.
correct us if we're out of date.
If we're out of date, please correct us. I know for a
I'm
fact
not
that
saying
there
it doesn't happen. Just I haven't seen it. Okay.
Okay. I know
mean-
for a fact it has in the past, if not presently.
You and Liberty U stands for unaccredited.
Sadly, no. Liberty is accredited, but yeah. So
unfortunate.
after finishing Dallas Theological Seminary, he studied at Hebrew University in Jerusalem, diving deep into the historical, political, and geographical context around the Bible. He then spent 20 years involved with archaeological excavations in Israel and Turkey. What began with a trip to Israel on a personal mission to have a better understanding of the milieu that surrounded the passages he read in the Bible, shortly after that trip, his mission for personal understanding shifted into a lifelong quest to continually share with others the truths he uncovered. Thus far, Randall has traveled to Israel 110 times. Most
He's
of
an
them
expert.
leading
He's been there
Israel. He's an
many
expert,
times.
right? Yeah. He's leading Israel tours and archaeological digs for World of the Bible. Sounds like a very reputable digging outfit, right? So his brother helps him out, John Price helps him out. So World of the Bible stands in the gap between questions people have and information they are being fed, and shows them how to allow the Bible to interpret itself. I'm sure they're very good at that. So that's Randall Price. I met him, I interacted with him a little bit in my work with Museum of the Bible. Seemed kind of like a grifter to me the entire time that I that I knew him. So some of these other guys, I had to look up some of these other guys. Gary Stearman here. Let me show you some stuff about Gary Stearman. All right. So Gary Stearman from Prophecy Watchers.
I bet that's how they met L.A. Marzulli.
Probably. So he has this. All these guys have these just outrageously long bios. I've never written a bio that's more than, I think, like 4 sentences, maybe 5. And these guys have
they're
to
full
just
of shit. They
talk
have to look credible.
on and on. So,
Yeah.
excuse me, I have to cough. So since 1983, I've been a pastor of the Bible Church in Oklahoma City, Grace Fellowship. There we are devoted to deep investigation and application of God's truth as expressed in scripture. Sorry, it's really scratchy right now. Just a second.
Oh my God. Trent Hip in the chat says, Liberty grad here. We wrote on regional flood theory and Hebrew syntax.
Yeah, thanks. That's what I recall in my interactions with Liberty grads in the past. So I believe that we are now living in prophetically significant times. We're also living in a time when the dark spirits of old are beginning to openly reveal themselves, masquerading as visitors from other worlds.
This is how we met. I am right. When I'm right, I'm right. This is how we met L.A. Marzulli.
But Vish, they are liars. They're liars.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The Bible exposes them for what they are. These are the last days. As the Bible foretold, we have entered an era of counterfeit spiritual phenomena and have plagued men since ages past. Only this time, our Lord has promised that he would return to judge the world. Let's look at some of these other guys. William Koenig. I've never heard of this guy. He's done a whole bunch of shit. He exposed replacement theology. He's done a bunch of stuff, about the land of Israel, early warnings on COVID-19 and biological risk in January 2020. Medical warnings and mRNA vaccine. Sounds like a really credible guy. He issued a warning.
This is LA.
Issued a warning to the Trump administration about the Abraham Accords because, peace, peace in the Middle East. Can't have that.
Not while America's bankrolling the Israelis.
No, definitely not. Middle East deals in the spread of radical Islam. Who is Bill Koenig? Bill Koenig is a longtime journalist, author, and White House correspondent with more than 2 decades of experience covering the U.S. and Middle East affairs. He began his career in commercial real estate with Coldwell Banker. Later founding his own brokerage and investment firm and handled more than $350 million in transactions. Business, he's a business boy. So that's how you know he's smart, right?
Business guy. Just wants to make money.
Yeah. So Koenig's World Watch Daily was established in 1996. Since November 1996, biblical relevant world news has been published 365 days a year.
Are you?
I'm an author.
That you're reading off of.
Oh fuck! Sorry, I'm sorry. That's stupid of me. Oh, there we go. I need to share. Sorry, I need to share a different tab because I'm a dummy. Sorry guys. Here we are. William Koenig. Best-selling author of books including Israel, Blessing or the Curse, Eye to Eye, Facing the Consequences of Dividing Israel, and of course, Revealed, Obama's Legacy. I'm sure that's
is he a secret Muslim? Because those are things that exist.
So
I remember when he first launched his campaign and he got blasted in the media because his pastor, his Christian pastor, was too extreme in his like preaching.
Right.
And then it's like,
Yeah.
is he attending a Christian church, but he's a secret Muslim? How these people are so fucking dumb.
So Bill Koenig is a White House correspondent from 2001 to 21 and again from 2025 to the present, entering the White House more than 900 times over 21 years. He's traveled with Presidents George W. Bush and Donald Trump to the Middle East and Europe, and has visited Israel 38 times. Not as many, you see, as Randall Price, but, you know, he's developed close relationships with the Israeli government's officials and the media, all the while emphasizing Jesus Christ, because that's what you want to do when you're hobnobbing with Israeli politicians, right? So
they're just laughing at these evangelicals, man. Because they don't believe your stupid theology. They'll take your money and your tourism support and your advocacy for military funding and all the like ethno supremacy and shit, but they think you're clowns. So
one more here I want to look at from the list is Mondo Gonzalez. Ever since 1948, with the establishment of the State of Israel and the extremely popular book,
The Late Great Planet Earth. Hell, Lindsay. Oh, this is an all-star lineup of shit heels, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
You know, we've been exposed to various component stages being set for the events leading up to the rapture. You know, the rapture.
7-year tribulation.
The totally real rapture that's definitely happening. That is, you know, talked about in scripture, in the Bible. You know, the Bible talking about the rapture. You know, those. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, again, with this fucking, you know, multi-paragraph bio. What the fuck are you doing? Yeah. So it's having the privilege to pastor at churches in Illinois, Washington, and Lake Tahoe, Nevada, has helped me to see the absolute need to make sure God's people in the church and beyond are trained properly in the various facets of eschatology. Events are escalating at an increasingly rapid pace in both intensity and frequency, as Jesus said it would in his analogy of birth pangs. Jesus scolded the Pharisees for not recognizing the signs of the times, and no doubt he commanded all of his followers to be watching at all times. When God's people are being alert to the signs of the times, it will cause them to grow in holiness and purity as they await their Lord's return. When it comes to eschatology, and specifically the rapture, God instructs us through Paul that we are not to be ignorant of these things. Our growth and knowledge will equip us to not just satisfy our intellectual interest, but to evangelize those around us with the gospel. So, on a side note, even though our eternal salvation was purchased once for all by Jesus on the cross, we all know that we are going to stand before Jesus at the judgment seat of Christ to receive our rewards. This future appointment with Jesus caused me to take time, 5 years, writing the most extensive and user-friendly study guide ever written on C.S. Lewis's
Screwtape Letters. He spent 5 years writing about a fiction novel, not even the Bible, not history, fanfic. I love this.
Besides the Bible itself, I've never taught through a study so many times at different churches and had such amazing opportunities to see people grow in their faith and also their understanding of human temptation. You can get more information at our bookstore. Listen, we gotta go. But guys,
nonsense.
These are grifters.
Yeah.
Okay. These are grifters, and they're evil. They're evil grifters.
Yes.
That's all you need to know about this. Michael, and I'm circling back here, right? Because Michael Jones is happy to tell you the truth about the Mount of All Curse tablet, which we haven't talked about at all today. But I've got, I mean, go watch the video that I did with Paulogia about it. It's bullshit. It's a piece of bullshit. And Michael Jones is happy to tell you about all that. But what he will never do is call out the actual evil shit going on, propagated by these grifters who are going to continue to promote biblical archaeology as a means to displace people, to disenfranchise people, and to propagate their heinous doctrines of Michael Jones is interested in the Exodus and the conquest because it feeds his narrative. He's not interested in actual history. He's not interested in archaeology. Michael Jones does not fucking love the Bible, guys. He does not. He's selling you shit. And we're going to call this out because it's the right thing to do.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't have anything more to say about that today because we have to go. But we're not done. We're not done with this. There's still stuff to talk about. So yeah, make sure you come back for that. We're probably doing that next week, maybe the week after. I haven't decided yet. But are there anything else? Did we catch all the you've got a couple of comments?
There is a few. There's a few. Metageeky for 2. Did he check the mountain with the copyright?
Nice.
Good. Tree Clam Tad for 5. Hey Siri, what's the textbook definition of genocide? And that's part of this is like the way that the American lobby for Israel fits in. It plays off this evangelical idea of the end times, and they will absolutely support full-throated genocide because they think it's a holy war. So good job murdering people. Love that for you.
Good job.
Tree Clam Tad for 5. Israel is a beautiful country. I almost said bloody. Whoops. So is America. Fascism destroys beauty and makes us all complicit in that destruction.
Yes.
Land back.
Yes.
Petite Flower for 5. If you want to make sure that all the evidence confirms your preconceived beliefs, just give me $85 and you are all set. Tree Climb Tad for 2. As a white dude, damn, that's a lot of white dudes.
Yeah, it is.
John Gooderum says, is it me or does anyone else feel sick when Christians talk about Pharisees? It sounds like what they really want to do is just badmouth Jews. I'm so glad that you said that because I have a relevant graphic. Should you call this person a Pharisee? Well, do they live in or before the 1st century CE? If yes, well, was this person actually a member of the Pharisees? If no, don't call them one. If they are, hey, are you using that word as an insult? If yes, again, don't do that. If you're not using it as an insult and it's historically accurate, then okay, that's probably safe. And again, if this person did not live in or before the 1st century CE, don't call them.
So hold on, Vish. If they lived in the 2nd century CE, can I call them a Pharisee?
Okay, well, were they actually a Pharisee?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good. I guess if they were, then sure. Okay.
Are you using it as an insult?
I don't because I think the Pharisees got a lot of things right. They're it's pretty great stuff from the Pharisees.
But yeah, it's the thing is a lot of people, because of Christian anti-Judaism that's in the New Testament, they're like, oh, it just means hypocrite. No. There is a word that means hypocrite It's hypocrite. Just say hypocrite. Don't call them a Pharisee.
It
That's
even sounds the same in Greek. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Seriously.
It's not hard.
Let's see. One more. Jack Parsons opened portals to hell at White Sands. The U.S. government is covering up their contact with demons. Roswell was a psyop, but just not like that. The men in black are Satanists. Yeah. Jack Parsons opened a portal to hell with his occult practice at JPL.
Wow.
It's so funny.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, thanks, guys. Thank you, everyone, so much for your generosity. It's been an incredible stream. I'm kind of overwhelmed by it. Got anything coming up, Vish?
Some real life stuff. Too much to get into.
We're gonna be on Dapper's channel tomorrow, probably at I think, aren't we? At 3:00 Eastern, noon Pacific.
Yes.
Saturday tomorrow. Oh dear. Did I double book
Are you
myself?
going?
I'll be there for the first hour. I'll be
Yeah.
there for the first hour.
Are you playing
I'm gonna
Star
have
Trek
to.
tonight?
Yes, I'm playing Star Trek in 20 minutes, so we gotta go.
Oh, you
But,
need to go, and then also
I need to
there's
go.
Toast to Toast tonight, so back to back to back.
That
Okay.
too, guys. Go check out Toast to Toast. So, but listen, I want to say this again. I know, but I have to say this again. Godless Granny. I'm going to be on Godless Granny's channel tomorrow at 1:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern. So I'm gonna have to cut out Dapper's show early to go and hang out with Godless Granny. I hope everybody comes and checks it out. So listen, guys, you've been amazing. I love you so much. Thank you again, everyone, for coming out, for hanging out with us, for bearing with the bullshit. And I hope you learned something today, because honestly, that's what this is all about. So with that out of the way, as always,
84%
be
of people
good.
do want to keep playing guitar emoji.
Oh, thank you.
Forgot to end the poll.
I forgot to end the poll. Sorry.
It's fine.
We'll get on that. As always, be good, stay safe,
Be excellent to each other.
and
Hail Ratma.
Hot Tikva, and Hail Ratma, and Hot Tikva.